What's up, guys? It's Will back again, and today I'm here to actually discuss Marvel's newest film, Black Widow. Black Widow takes place not long after the events of Civil War, where our famous Natasha Romanoff finds herself reunited with her old family. They band together to take down an evil organization and the mysterious Taskmaster, which we will get into in more detail. This is Black Widow's first and maybe only film. We will see, depending on the box office. Pretty good so far. And I was very excited to see it because I enjoy Black Widow as a character. And I've been eager to relive that MCU theater experience because I understand that the majority opinion on this film is positive, but I was still, even with the early reviews, looking very much forward into going to see this film. But there are some divisive elements that we're going to discuss in this review. For me, I'm just going to say it right off the bat, I really enjoyed this film. I really liked it. I wouldn't say it's my top 5, but I do think it's probably in my top 10 to 12. So we'll get into that a little bit more. But overall, I think it's a satisfying story for the character, albeit one that should have probably come out like 5 to 6 years ago. But let's just start with the elephant in the room, the most divisive aspect of this film from the start of this video. Let's just jump right into it. No foreplay. Taskmaster. Taskmaster is and will continue to be divisive because there are some significant deviations in this adaptation of the character. This is inevitably going to be controversial because anytime you fundamentally change a beloved character, diehard fans are not going to be happy. This is something Kevin Feige had to have known when he was reviewing the new direction for this character. I mean, as the ultimate fan of the MCU that, comics that Kevin Feige is, he had to have known that diehard fans would reject this version of Taskmaster. This is a legitimate gripe that many fans have with this rendition of the character, and it seems to be causing a lot of people to, judge the movie unfavorably as a whole. For me, I loved this version of Taskmaster, and let me explain. I say that because I had no connection whatsoever to the source material. I didn't know anything about Taskmaster coming in, so I had no preconceived notions about what this character should or should not be. I felt this Taskmaster worked great in the context of this story, so much so that I already pre-ordered the Hot Toys figure. I love the look, I love the presence, the backstory, all of it worked for me. But again, if I were a comic fan and I had expectations for the character, it's probable I would feel differently. What I really liked about this film overall, though, is that it highlights the fact that Black Widow is a flawed hero. Now that she's in a leading role, we're able to much more fully explore her past and understand the difficult decisions she's made in the pursuit of justice and even revenge for that matter. This is an aspect of the film I really liked because it paints the character with a much less broad brush. There's a lot more room for subtlety and nuance because Black Widow is not meant to be an altruistic hero. This has been hinted at in other films, but there's never been time to explore it fully. A lot of this film is Natasha, staring down her past and trying to make amends, and I think the storytelling works in that area. The supporting cast also works very well. Black Widow's the lead, of course, but this film feels like almost like a co-lead film because Florence Pugh's character, Yelena, gets a lot of screen time also. So I've heard others say that she steals the film. I wouldn't go that far, but I do think she's good. I think that she's going to be very present in the MCU moving forward, and I find that exciting because Florence Pugh is a fantastic actress. That said, her co-stars are equally as impressive. David Harbour plays Alexei, or Red Guardian, and he's great comic relief for the most part. I would have loved to see him be a little more badass because more often than not, he's a punching bag to make a joke, but I enjoyed his presence nonetheless. Rachel Weisz's character is a bit more bare bones. She performs what she's given well, but there's just not a lot there to work with, not a lot of meat on the bone. She's kind of just there as a plot device to progress the plot, but I did enjoy her performance overall. But anytime you go to see a Marvel movie, you're in part looking for excitement. That's just part of the experience. Black Widow delivers that. There's chase scenes, there's fight scenes, explosions, and it all is in the service of a story, a good story. There's a little bit more action present in this film than I expected. Every Marvel movie has, varying levels of action because, adventuring and spectacle too. And, Black Widow delivers that, those things, those thrills on the level you want it to. But it also illustrates a darker side to humanity, which I found very compelling. There's a Winter Soldier vibe to this film. I can tell that's what they were going for, albeit with a bit more comedy mix in there. But I felt the choreography, the CG, and everything to do with the action served its purpose. It's exciting, it's fun, and it delivers the thrills you'd expect from a Marvel movie. Considering this film slides in right around the time of Civil War, it really should have come out then. I'm only assuming Marvel felt that a Black Widow film wouldn't have performed as well as some of the other heavy hitters at the time, but I think that obviously was a miscalculation. It's also possible that they felt their slate was simply full already, but I do think this could have been a great service to the character and to the overarching narrative. One of the things I liked most about this Black Widow film is that it addresses Natasha's upbringing or lack thereof. It again highlights the idea that Natasha didn't really have much of a family before she joined the Avengers. Her original family is deeply flawed, and it makes for some excellent drama because throughout the journey, there's consistent tension and there's always conflict there. However, underneath that is a layer of love and respect, and it makes the journey all the more impactful for it. That said, this is not a perfect film. The comedy is essentially a pro and a con. There are some genuinely funny moments in this film, but there are an equal amount that undercut the drama of the story. So since there's so much natural tension between the characters, it does feel as if from time to time the film needed to lean into that to maximize the impact of the evolving relationships. However, there are occasions where comedy takes precedence because Marvel, seemingly wants to offer a family-friendly / general audience-friendly experience. It felt like this film is at times at war with itself from a tonal perspective. It didn't need to be one note, but I do feel like the juggling of tones wasn't always perfect. I also wasn't majorly in love with how the film ended. I don't think it was atrocious by any means, but I do feel like it's a bit of a cop-out. Essentially, without spoilers, it's a cliffhanger that simply avoids resolution because it's almost like the film didn't have time for it. It feels like an abrupt ending for the sake of time, which I wasn't a fan of personally. But other than that, I very much enjoyed Black Widow. I think it's a solid outing for Marvel, and I'm glad it's performing well at the box office, at least so far. I'm not typically one that likes drastic alterations of characters from their source material, but considering I had no pre-existing connection to Taskmaster, I thought the character worked very well in this specific situation. As for the pros cons, for the pros, I think the characters and their on-screen chemistry are great. The action and choreography deliver. Natasha's character is explored meaningfully, and Taskmaster was great within the context of this story. As for the cons, I think the comedy and drama don't always coalesce, and the ending feels underexplored. I'm going to give Black Widow a 9 out of 10 and recommend you check it out if you're a fan of the MCU in theaters. It's not perfect, but it is worth your time. Make sure to let me know what you thought in the comments below, whether you saw Black Widow, what you thought of it, or if you're planning to skip it altogether. I gotta say, it was great to be back in a normal theater experience, and I'm happy that Scarlett Johansson finally got her solo Black Widow movie. It was overdue, and I think it mostly delivered. I'm still contemplating getting the Black Widow Hot Toys figure, but I definitely have Taskmaster on pre-order. The character was too badass in the fight scenes to not get, to be honest. That said, I respect your opinion if you differ on it. Either way, make sure you drop your comments, in the comments section below. But this is WillFoxification signing off. I will see you in the next review.